Tracey L. Fisher. Welcome to a reentry point of view. I'm here with my good friend, Tommy Blackwell. How you doing?
Good to be here.
Oh man, it's great. I've been asking Tommy to come on the show for a minute now. He's busy. I let him tell you what he do. But I respect him because of the cloth he's cut from. And this is the reason why I got him here, so my audience can get this type of information, this knowledge. What's happening with you?
Well, right now I'm with the federal government. I'm the district director for Congressman Robert A. Brady in the 1st District, Pennsylvania. We have 3 offices in Philadelphia and 1 office in Chester. But you know, Congressman Brady being who he is, we service the entire state literally.
Right.
You know, but I enjoy what I'm doing now. Of course, I'm former representative of the state of Pennsylvania. I, for whatever reason, have always been interested in reentry. Because I see that a lot of it, you know, for lack of better words, is a bunch of crap. You know,
Absolutely.
so, you know, I'm a realist, I've always been.
Yes.
You know, and sometimes that has gotten me in trouble. Because I try to speak the truth. You know, because that's the way I was raised, and I continue that wherever I go. You know, also, you know, when I speak to people, you know, I ask God to speak through me. I take myself out of it. You know, because that's the only way it stays real with me.
Right.
You know, so I've often been criticized for that, but you know, that's their problem, not mine. You know, I did it on the State House floor, and I was asked not to say certain things, you know, like calling the name of Jesus. But you know, it's not something that I plan, but it comes out. You know, if you're part of something you represent, how can you ask me to separate myself from who I am and who I represent? You know, the day that they asked me not to do that, right when we opened session, there happened to be a Jewish rabbi opened the floor, you know, with the invocation, and he mentioned the name David. So I asked the people who came to me, I said, you know, did I break a rule? Did I break a law? Whatever. They didn't know. I said, well, why are you asking me not to do that? So they said, well, we don't want you to offend anybody. I said, well, when Rabbi Isaacson did the invocation, he mentioned David. I didn't get offended. I said, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I said, if you don't want me to mention the name of Jesus, I said, I'll make my first deal with you. And I said, you chase the devil out of here. I said, I'll never say it again. They all walked away from me.
Well, you know what? So people can understand where that came from. Tell them who raised you.
My father raised me.
Who's your father?
Lucian E. Blackwell.
Wow. Icon.
But I tell you, you know, he got that actually from my grandfather.
Mm-hmm. Which is?
My grandfather is Thomas W. Blackwell, who I'm named after. You know, I used to go see my dad every morning at 5 o'clock. And we used to go out to breakfast, but I could never really get his attention because he would give people time. So I asked him, I said, let's just stay in. And I would go see him before I would go to my office when I was with the union. And one day we were talking, I said, you know, hold up, Dad. I said, my name is Thomas. I was named after your father. I said, your name is Lucian. So that makes me the original. You're the copy. So he used to laugh about it. We used to have a ball because we could enjoy each other, you know, just ourselves at that time. You know, otherwise I was going to lose my job with him.
I met a lot of people, right, that said to me, they mentioned 3 names that would be proud of me. They mentioned Lucius Blackwell,
I told you that.
Dave Richardson, and they mentioned Cecil B. Moore. And they said if these guys were still around, I wouldn't have to have struggled as long as I have in this city about what I'm bringing to the table and what I'm doing. And that's one of the biggest accomplishments that I can receive because, you know, I'm a history guy and I know what they bring to the table. And then when I first met you, I just loved you because you had your father's essence. And your father, his lifestyle is my GPS. And I always say that because he served the people. He was a human. He wasn't perfect, but he was a human being, but he served the people. And that's my goal. It's just serve the people to the best of my ability.
Well, you know, I was taught by him, you do the right thing, let God handle the rest. You know, and you know, a lot of people, you know, I remember when he and Dave used to go to the Youth Study Center when it was down Center City. As a matter of fact, I remember a young lady named Tanya, who they met in the Youth Study Center, and you know, he told them then, you know, you're in jail. You're actually in jail. And he told them, you know, why do they try to clean this up? He said, because you get other kids who think it's a badge of honor to get a record. That doesn't make any sense. He said, because you're trying to make it sound like it's good. He said, it's not good. It's bad. Yeah, actually, they tried to stop he and Dave from going to Youth Study Center, but they realized who they were. They were employed by the state. They were state representatives. So they said, "You're not gonna stop me from coming in here." You know, used to do the same thing up Grassford. As a matter of fact, I went up to Dallas one time. We wasn't there but 20 minutes. And the guard said, "Okay, time to go." I said, "What do you mean time to go? Just got here. It was a long drive."
Right.
So there wasn't that many people there. I understand, you know, when they're crowded, you know, time is limited.
Right.
I understand that. But, you know, I'm not gonna let nobody fool me. You know, so I said, I went up to have that booth-like thing where the guards sit.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up to them, I said, "Why are you telling everybody I have to leave?" I said, we just came in here. "Well, you know, when we're busy, you know, everybody's time is limited." I said, "Look at this room." I said, "All these tables are not even filled up. What are you talking about?" So he said, "Well, sir, that's the way it goes." And I turned around, I told everybody's in the room, I said, "Don't nobody go nowhere."
Just of dollars.
Just like, I said, "Don't nobody go anywhere." So I said, "You better go get the warden or the captain or somebody." I said, "'Cause you don't know what you're getting ready to get into." So they went and got him. So the other guard that was sitting there, he said, "Well," he said, "Can I have your name?" I said, "Yeah, I'm State Representative Thomas Blackwell. What's the problem?" He looked at me. You know, but my point is, it shouldn't have had to be that way for me to have to say who I was,
Exactly.
for them to do people right. Because, you know, I'm not a racist, I love people. But they were the only two Caucasians in that room. Everybody else looked like me.
Right.
You know, so if we don't speak for them, who's going to speak for them? You know, and I also told them when the captain came, because the weekend warden wasn't there. So he apologized. It was cool, you know. But I told him, I said, "Captain, I said, I'm going to tell you something. I said, I'm going to say this respectfully. Anybody in here comes to me and tell me that their loved one or whoever they're visiting was punished as a result of what I'm doing, you're going to have a problem." Because sometimes they did.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the jail
You know,
system.
and so
Trust me.
I said it where loud enough where they could hear me. I'm talking about the visitors, because you know a lot of times because of the decisions we make, they take it out on the people that are in there. You know, I don't look at people that are incarcerated as bad people. They made bad decisions. The only reason why I'm probably not there, I didn't get caught, and then I was scared to death of my father. You know, I used to walk through 3 gangs back in the 70s to get to my job. I used to work in a grocery store after school. I never belonged to a gang. You know, because first, my dad wasn't having it. Second, he knew all the members of the gang, so that actually protected me. But, you know, this was during the time they were drafting people, you know, and I remember they drafted my brother one time. And he came, he told me he was in this particular gang. And I said, "Man, if Dad finds out, you in trouble." So I said, "Well, we got to get you out of there." You know, so he said, "We?" I said, "Yeah, we." I said, "Man, I can't let you go by yourself." So, you know, we went to some of the guys we knew, and they knew my dad. We told them, "Listen, we can't be in your gang." So one guy told me, he said, "You're not in the gang." I said, "My brother's in, so I'm in." You know, I said, "We can't do that." You know, so they, believe it or not, they understood it. That's when I said, "You know what? They're not as crazy as people say they are."
Exactly.
And then they didn't want me to go back and tell my father on them. You know, because he used to work with us on Mondays and Wednesdays. We used to go to this church on 45th and Walnut. And it's still there, but the Muslims bought the building.
I know what you're talking about.
And so every Monday and Wednesday, we used to take the kids in he and Janie used to have the kids in that church in the basement and work with them. We were in the cadets. He was a colonel. And Janie would have the females and Dad would have the guys. That's where we learned to box and do a lot of things. But that's when I got closer to guys from gangs. You know, because even back then is when I started to see things. Even though I was a young boy, but I started understanding a lot of things that my father was doing.
Well, let me ask you a question. How do you think your father would feel right now if he was able to see the state of Philadelphia?
Ashamed.
Politics.
Ashamed.
Ashamed.
Ashamed. You know, I didn't know this, but Mayor Street said this at my father's funeral. They were in a parade. I think it was Street's first term in city council. And they were in a parade, and people, you know, calling their names out and then marching down the street. And so my father and John Street were next to each other. So according to the former mayor, he said, my father looked at him and said, Street said, he used to call him Street. He said, "Street, it makes you feel good, these people calling your names." Street said, "Yeah, man, this is nice." He said, "You know what? They should be throwing bricks at us." He said, "Look at these buildings. He's about to fall down." He said, "We think we're somebody?" He said, "We're nothing." He said, "They got a nerve to put honorable in front of our names." He said, "We allow people to live like this." So, that told me something. I remember my dad used to bring strangers home, feed them. This is before he became a publicly elected official.
Right.
And at times, I've even seen people come to the house and they take a bath. That's the kind of guy he was, because that's the way my grandfather was.
So, for me doing my history, your father and his crew, they kept a lot of gentrification out of the community, which is rampant right now. What's your opinion? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a plan. It's a plan. It's a plan. A lot of people don't even know about the City Planning Commission. They plan for like 25, 30 years ahead.
2035 plan.
Where we see right now, even our leadership. Now, when I say leadership for a reason, because I don't just look at elected officials. I look at preachers. I look at teachers. It's rare that you can find a black male teacher now. That's a plan. Some people, will hear me and say I'm talking racism. No, I'm not. I'm talking realism, because a child becomes what they see. There's nothing wrong with a black male teacher, and he's got young, well, politically correct, African American young males in his class. Nothing wrong with that. Every so years, we change our identity. Well, that's to satisfy people other than us. Be proud of who you are. It doesn't matter. The one thing that other people will say to all other ethnic groups, they let you know who you really are. So why don't you know who you are? Why are you afraid to say who you are? See, I've learned I'm not afraid to say who I am. I love who I am.
Well, let me ask you this. You knowing your father, if he can have a conversation with a one-on-one with now District Attorney Steph Williams, what do you think he would say to Steph Williams?
First of all, he would advise him that he was wrong in whatever he did, because he hasn't been convicted of anything. But he would tell him, repent, and then go back to those same people that you took advantage of. Repent to them. See, the Bible says you have to confess your sins in order to be saved. Okay? Well, he's a public person. I helped Seth get elected. And there's some things that I'm hearing now that I disappointed. There's some things that a lot of people say that Seth was wrong, but he was right in terms of his job. But what made it wrong is he was doing the same thing, but on a larger scale. Much larger scale. So, you can't be hypocritical.
Right.
And then it was like, me being in politics, I understand the game. Had I been Seth at that time, when Kathy Kane dropped that case, I wouldn't have picked it up. That would have told me that the structure's in here somewhere.
Right. Leave it alone.
But my dad would have just advised him and told him, you reap what you sow in this life, be it good or bad. He would have told him, of course, that he was wrong. But what the main thing my dad would have did, he would have took him to the side. He wouldn't have done it publicly. That's the kind of guy he was. He wasn't the kind of guy that would embarrass you. He'd take you to the side and he would try to counsel him. Well, as we in the Masonic world say, he would give him wise counsel. Right. But he wouldn't judge him.
Right. Now, without making an endorsement, what do you think of the DA race now, as far as the candidates? That's it.
Politics. I mean, you have some good people who I know a few of them. You have good people who some have made bad decisions. The world of politics is, they want you to be squeaky clean. Nobody's squeaky clean. Money allows you to clean up your dirty stuff. And a lot of us, we're not going to raise the kind of money that other folks raise. That's not real for us. You know why? Because for the most part, we depend on corporations rather than supporting them money-wise. Corporations are the ones that give these money. Now, according to some laws, corporation donations are illegal. But they find a way to do it. They find a way to do anything that they want to do. When I say they, I'm talking about the structure.
Right.
If they want a certain person, they don't want his past to come up. What do they? Flood the market. Now, you might hear something that I may have done in the past that wasn't too cool. But if I got a lot of money, I keep the information comes, so you forget that.
Right.
You keep on dealing with the good stuff. The problem is that we allow it to happen too much.
Right.
We know the game, but we don't respond to the game. Respond to the game by voting. You don't respond to the game by not voting. Because the people that don't think like you, I always say you elect people to think like you. If you don't go, guess what? You're gonna get what you got now. You're a guy who actually used social media to become president. He stayed on Twitter. You know, he didn't buy too many commercials until the end.
Right, absolutely.
You know, then you had his opponent spend all kind of money. You know, at first he said that he was going to be use his own money to run, which he did not do.
Right.
You know, this man has told nothing but lies since he's been in there. You know, and being in certain circles that I mean, you should hear some of the stuff I hear.
Do you think his presidency brought the black race together? And how?
Well, once we got over the anger, you know, he bought. I don't see it as bringing us together by him. I see the people that he allows to implement his thinking are the same people that were there. First of all, he brought his cabinet. They're all new people. One thing, they're all either billionaires or millionaires. I have a problem with that because that's not America. That's not the face of America.
Right.
You know, so none of them can relate to what ordinary people go through, so they don't know how to fix it. You know, but some that have been there, like, you know, the Mitch McConnells and the Paul Ryans, this is something that enhances their reputations within the people that they represent. You know, and actually some people, you know, I'll give you an example. There was a guy, HBO did it, the Obamacare and the Affordable Health Care Act. Well, it's one and the same. But they did a documentary, and this guy was talking about how he was in Mississippi. They didn't need Obamacare. Take that back up north. Well, first of all, what do you mean take it back up north? You're dividing the country. Now, the interviewer asked him, well, what type of insurance do you have? He has the Affordable Health Care insurance. Well, last time I checked, that's the same thing.
So they're not informed.
Well, no, but what it is, one candidate played to their ignorance. It said words that they understood, you know, what we call code words. You know, what they were doing, they were looking at this instead of thinking with this.
Right.
You know, I just saw last night where they were saying things about Obama. Obama's not president anymore. Now, during the time when George Bush was president, things happened. So when Obama came in, quite naturally, some people said, you know, this was the previous president's fault, this, that, and the other. Okay, in the beginning, all right, fine. But at some point, you have to start taking responsibility for what goes on during your administration. I've yet to see that. You know, and sometimes, quite frankly, I don't think reporters ask the right questions.
They don't.
You know, I think, you know, because you remember, media is controlled by the corporate world. Okay, you know, you got the Republican channel, Fox News or network. You got the MSNBC, they're primarily Democrats, and then you got CNN who plays both sides. You know, where they used to be more liberal, now they sort of come to the middle a little bit. But they all seem to want to, it's a thing of they want to catch you in something. Well, they have the wrong thinking. You know, just emphasize the positive, but the media, see, negativity is what sells. And that's why they do this. This is why, you know, you have a situation now where Fox is going through another thing with sexual harassment with one of their top people. Well, some people are pulling their commercials out because they're afraid that they leave them in there, people are not going to watch that show. So that means their product is not being advertised. Right. That's smart business, you know. But meanwhile, these people don't care because they have that kind of money, you know. But we have to be smart enough to do this. But one thing I was again, our leadership, to me, I'm talking about collectively, not individuals, but to me they leave a lot to be desired. Because it seems like, you know, my dad used to say that sometimes when people get elected, meaning from our community, once they get in position, they emulate what was already there. You know, where they become part of that.
Part of the structure.
Yeah,
right?
you know, you can't do that.
And you being the state rep, So you saw a lot of poverty in our community, and with that poverty is returning citizens coming back into the community that they left with no programs, no foundation, no stability there whatsoever. What do you think should be done to strengthen that foundation for returning citizens to come and be productive in the community, in society that you're talking about?
Well, one, I think the same way we support businesses, those businesses have to support our community. They don't. Okay, I don't care if it's on a small scale. Small scale will if it comes together right, it will become larger. Right now, you get ready to have a $300 million expansion on Philadelphia waterfront, where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
And what that's going to do is going to create a lot more jobs. But the problem is, ever since 9/11, they have what they call this TWIC program, where you have to have a certain identification to even walk on a pier now. When I was down there, anybody could just walk on a pier. I'm not saying it necessarily should be like that, but you don't make it harder for people to get jobs. Right now, they have a lot of shows, documentaries on TV about inmates and how they're treated. Prison, should there be punishment for crimes? Yes. But there should also be rehabilitation. That's the part that's not there.
Absolutely.
There also should be education. That's the part that's not there. So in other words, when you go into prison, they check everything medically. But when you come out, they don't check anything. They just let you out.
Exactly.
So you don't know if you're spreading anything in the community. You don't know what type of people you're letting out. I mean, you'll be letting out a person that's very angry, and don't know why they're angry. Mm-hmm. They're angry because of what they've been through. I often say a child becomes what they see. If you have parents at home that are not educated, don't really know how to raise a child and do everything not only in front of them but with them, you have a problem when that child becomes an adult.
Absolutely.
So you have to have guidelines for people that are in prison, but you also need guidelines when they come out. They need help. I influenced former Mayor Nutter to go to grad school. And it was good that he was there, because sometimes, I remember we were in a meeting. Grad school has a NAACP chapter there, and so they invited some of us there. And we went, and I was sitting next to a guy, inmate, and we were talking, had a nice conversation. Man, but when he got to that mic, he blessed us all out. I mean, like it was our fault. Well, I tell people, I ain't never longshoreman. Sometimes I ain't got no sense. But now when you attack me, I'm going to answer you. So when he sat back down, I said, look, man, I ain't got to be up here. This is your home. You invited me up here. I said, when I invite people to my home, I at least treat them with respect. Right. So he said to me, he said, well, Brother Blackwell, he said, I wasn't really talking about you. I said, really? Ask them who you talking about. I said, but they don't understand. You just lumped us all together here. I said, but I'm going to tell you something. I don't have to be here. I said, and a lot of my constituents don't like that I come up here. I said, I come up here because I think it's the right thing to do. I said, and some of you who are going to be able to come home, you need to know that somebody's going to be there for you when you come out. I said, so don't paint us with the same brush. Right. I said, but I'm not going to allow you to do that to me. I said, so you need to apologize for those who you're not talking about. You need to apologize to us. So he said, well, I apologize. No, not like that.
Same way you blast me, absolutely.
I said, go up there. I said, so they know who you're talking about. But anyway, you need programs, not just programs. A lot of these internships, for like construction, and University of Pennsylvania has one. But name me one job that it's turned into. I'm tired of all the talk. Absolutely. Because everybody knows what should be done. But now you just need somebody to implement it. That's where I look at our elected officials. You don't even talk about it. Something wrong with that. You want, I wanted the mayor to go up there. Okay, now after the mayor went, okay, now it's time to go to work. Right. You got the idea. Nobody could explain their program better than they could. That's why I want you to come. Right. Now, what are we going to do to help them facilitate jobs when they come out? Because nobody's going to hire them but them. I said, because when you put an application, as soon as you put down there that you have a felony, ball game's over. They're not gonna,
513 trash can.
they're not gonna tell you that, but that's what's gonna happen.
Absolutely.
You know, I've seen the time when I was in certain offices, and I've actually seen them throw it in the trash can, and I grab it out. And I'll take it where we're at, and we'll try to do something with it.
Wow.
You know, every now and then we would get a list of people who hired people who had felonies. And I would particularly give these people those jobs. You know, I had people, we don't, as a policy, we're not supposed to recommend people for jobs, this and the other. But again, because of Congressman Brady, he allows us to do that. We have complete flexibility. And when people come in and looking for work, if we have something, we tell them. If not, you know, my philosophy is I may not have all the answers, but I got a telephone.
That's right.
Find the answer. That's what I'm paid for. You know, I'm paid for trying to help people.
Right.
What type of help? Don't know.
And when
But
we
I got
come
that
home,
phone.
and when we come home from being incarcerated, we don't know whom to turn to. So the first thing in our mind is the elected official. So we hoping you got all the answers. That's why it's critical for y'all to network with organizations such as mine or something like that. Because I deal with a lot of people y'all send my way. And I appreciate that, because they be like, yo, I was walking down Broad Street and I stopped inside the Congress because they don't know where else to go. That's why when I connected with y'all, yo, send them the gateway. Absolutely. Because they need that. Because once you put them on the right path, now you done put somebody productive in society.
That's right.
And also you done help them with their family. But on that note, I want you to tell my audience how they can get in touch with you and any information that you might have for them.
Well, my office is at 1909 South Broad Street, right at the corner of Broad and Mifflin. It's one block north of Passyunk Avenue. Everybody knows where Passyunk Avenue is. Come there where I cannot guarantee you a job. I will guarantee you in a certain time frame we'll find one for you. Now I just got myself in trouble because I ain't supposed to say that. But anyway,
And we ain't gonna cut it neither.
I've actually had people meet me when I get there. Your office doesn't open up till 9 o'clock. You know, I never get to my office at 9 o'clock. Sometimes you might see me there at 7:30. And I'm like this: if I'm there, whether my office is open or not, I'm going to answer the phone if it rings.
Right.
I don't want people to hurt, and I don't want my staff to cost me money because they didn't make the right decision. You're going to make mistakes, but not on a large scale. If you don't know, say you don't know. Because we're in a position where if we make the wrong decision, not only are we affected, but you have people who come to us, not only will they be affected, but their families may be affected. So it's a ripple effect.
Right.
You know, so we have to be taught how to respect leadership.
And on that note, I'm Tracey L. Fisher. This is my guest, Tommy Blackwell, and this is a reentry point of view.